Business as Unusual is expanding. In addition to guest episodes, I'm going to have episodes talking about some of the work I do to support small business owners and creative entrepreneurs with tips and tools that I hope will help you out in your endeavors. In this episode, I'll be talking about understanding your resources beyond time and money and how to get clarity on what you need to have a balanced life and sustainable business model that supports you in thriving. Stay tuned.
Business as Unusual is a thought-provoking podcast that explores the innovative strategies, disruptive ideas, and unconventional practices driving successful leaders and companies in the ever-evolving world of modern business. Subscribe, comment, and share for weekly inspiration with our host, Aicila.
So I work with a lot of creative entrepreneurs. Learning how to measure the resources you invest in your business is one of the steepest learning curves I see. Typically in business, only time and money are talked about or tracked as a resource, which is understandable. It is the most visible and concrete that we're dealing with. And that approach is really built on the model of industry that is more about products and inventory. So it doesn't apply as well to service-based businesses. Your inventory as an entrepreneur or business owner or creative is actually you, your creativity, your motivation, your satisfaction, your energy. Because it's a subjective thing, it's difficult to quantify. And I've tried. I created a worksheet to guide you through this process to get a better sense of how the resource of you is integrated into your business. It's available as a free download on my site. It might require you to enter a credit card. I'm still working with my web designer on that. It's in the shop and free, but at any rate, if you don't want to do that, which I totally get, I always hate that, shoot me an email, podcast@Bicurean.com with resource calculator in the subject line, and I'll just get it to you that way. So why does it matter? Why do you want to track these other resources or you as part of your business? What I've seen over the years in a variety of industries, and also not just for people working for themselves, is burnout is somewhat predictable. Burnout is often the result of ignoring these other aspects of what you bring to your work. A business life in which you feel fulfilled and energized by your work, but don't make enough to sustain yourself in terms of your concrete or physical needs, or one in which you have loads of money coming in but feel drained and uninspired, both lead to a type of burnout. As an entrepreneur, you've mostly come from a typical 9-to-5 environment, or that's primarily what you've seen, on TV, movies, around you in life. In those environments, you have much less control over the environment you work in or your activities. However, even in an environment that is structured for you like that, I think it's still helpful to evaluate how your talents and energy are being drawn upon. Once you have a sense of that, you can then look for ways to change or adjust your situation before it becomes a major problem. Or if it already has had negative impact, then seeing where you need to tend to yourself will help you step back into your work without the fear of re-injury, if you will. So social media is a great example. A lot of people find it to be draining, and then they also feel stuck. They need to do it, is how they feel. They can't hire someone because of money, or maybe they don't want to because they've had a bad experience hiring someone. They know the words SEO and hashtag, but aren't clear on how to use them, or just feel overwhelmed when they open up the lists. Perhaps they were really successful with their social media in terms of impressions and views, but didn't really see any sales or felt super exhausted by it. So what do you do in that situation? Well, what I've done, I've worked with several business owners to streamline, automate, reduce, or remove social media from their workflow. And what I did first was use the tools that became the resource calculator I talked about earlier to identify what exactly was draining the person I was working with. One of the most interesting was a marketer who loves social media, and they still found themselves stressed out at it, but specifically in their client work, like not in their own. We went through different aspects of their content plan and identified that really the writing of copy and posting to a certain extent was what the barrier for them in their work plan, their client work plan. And they love writing in general, just for some reason not that. So now they offer products that don't include copywriting or posting, and they're doing a better job of selling those products because they don't secretly dread executing on it. So while I know sometimes people a little bit hesitate or fear to get a clear look because they're afraid they'll find something they don't like, and you might, but let's be clear, you're not always going to walk away going, wow, I knew that, or that's my ideal. But getting clear about what's actually happening means that you can then change the things you need to be more successful and more fulfilled. Right now is a great time to get some of that clarity on your business as a whole. Reflect on 2024 to this point and start to set some intentions for 2025. In addition to the tool I shared that I really hope that you will take advantage of and let me know how it worked for you, here are some questions that will help you in your review of 2024. A big one that I think people miss often is, how did you feel this year? Did you feel excited about your work? Did you feel lucky that you get to do it? Did you feel constantly stressed out and drained like you were running behind? Did you spend quality time with the people that you care about? How do you feel about your impact on others, your clients, your family, your friends, yourself? Those are really important questions because, especially as a small business owner, you're probably part of the community, and being part of the community means understanding the ways in which you are relational at the core of your business. And then also do some of that more typical business performance analysis, financial metrics as well, social media. However, as you do those, bring in those other resource areas that I shared earlier in the show and also through the tool in terms of when you think of a project being successful, think of it in balance with your whole company. So if you have one project that is primarily fulfilling to you and really satisfies your creativity or your feeling of competence or fills values in that way, but doesn't bring in a lot of money, I'm not saying that's not okay. I think that those projects are often the first to get cut when we're afraid of loss, or when there's, in the larger companies, this profitability is the key word. However, a lot of times those projects really feed something for us. They are what allow us to do the other things that bring in the money. So looking at it from this whole perspective and really saying, okay, you can have one of those, but you also need others that bring in financial return. And so really looking at your business as a whole and saying, and so this first step to looking at your business as a whole and getting that sense is to go through and analyze those core offerings or services or projects that you have. And then the other question I really like to ask is, what tools or systems caused more work than they saved? A lot of times we're really attached to the things that we're using, and sometimes we're paying money for something that is underutilized or unhelpful. And it's really important to get clear on that. If it's not solving a problem, get rid of it. I really like to start with a business analysis by figuring out what we can get rid of. How can we make more room for new options? And so those are some questions you can go through to hopefully help you in that sort of other part of the process. I will actually also upload the end of year planning question set that I put together for the process that I'm leading, so that you can check that out if you want to and go through and do this when you're like sitting somewhere. Obviously, if you're just walking around listening to this, some of this stuff is not going to be able to be done. And sitting down for half an hour with the tool, with the questions, and just taking a quick minute to review is still going to help you in your reflection. I use the word planning, and I also avoid it because I feel like as small business owners, it's important to be able to stay nimble. So it's one of the reasons I talk about intentions. I'll get more into that in a later episode. However, just to know, while I do use them a little interchangeably, I really think of planning for us is more about intentions, because we have to be able to deal with what's right in front of us more often than those larger companies. And that's one of our strengths as well. So reflect, analyze, and act. End of year planning is about honestly assessing the state of your business, learning from your experiences, and setting clear goals for the future. Download those free end of year tools and resource calculator that I mentioned earlier, and let me know how it worked for you. I'm really excited. Investing time in planning now will help you achieve your goals and help you create a more fulfilling business and personal life. Thanks so much for listening. As always, I'll see you next week, and I hope that you find this useful, and good luck. I hope you enjoy the show. I love making it. If you did enjoy it, consider hopping over to the review portion of the platform you listen on and letting other people know about it. Or share the episode or the entire show with a friend or subscribe to the show. Definitely reach out, get on my newsletter, follow me on social media, and let me know what you like, what you don't like, and what you'd like to see in the future. Well, we love our guests. Appearance on the Business as Unusual podcast or any Bicurean consulting production is for information purposes only and is not to be considered an endorsement of their business practices, or character. Please properly vet anyone you find through this podcast and generally before you do any business with them. Thank you for listening.